Welcome to Plain Talk on WIMC Radio. The views and opinions expressed on Plain Talk are of the host, its guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views of the IMC Club or IMC Club International.
Brussels National Departure Quebec 0954. Runway 25 right for departure. Taxiway Echo 5 closed.
Dude, this takes so much energy, guys. All right.
JetBlue 1012, Lieutenant November, join Alpha, contact Ronald, Bonanno, good afternoon.
6 knots.
Clear to land, runway 3 left 4, good evening. You guys should come up here one day. You'd enjoy it. You'd enjoy the show.
Clear to land, 3 right, Boca Hagaki,
Thank you very much.
Initial contacts you have.
Hello, everybody, and live from behind the golden microphones of the IMC Radio, you're listening to Plain Talk. I'm Derek Lagasse, here bringing you more fun than a pilot should be allowed to have, and momentarily I'll be joined by the wonderful guests and hosts and all the wonderful things to be in store. Geez, I can't stall anymore, guys. How y'all doing? We're on the air.
Derek.
I tried here. I tried.
We're the wonderful hosts.
We're the wonderful hosts.
and
wonderful
yes, we
guests. Oh, boy.
We got Howie Marlin here. Who else is here?
Radek Wyrzykowski from sunny Boston.
All right, and we'll have John momentarily, because
That
Ain't
is
a party.
if he figures out the technological part of the... Because I can see him, he's really, he's focused on what he's doing there.
Certainly focused. We'll let him continue focused.
this is the beauty of live
Derek,
radio,
continue
folks.
with the intro. Let people know what's going on.
Well, we got a lot of news that's happened over the past couple weeks, so I guess with great pride, I can say that on National Aviation Day, I might add, on National Aviation Day...
Wait, don't we have a drum roll?
Jeez.
Oh, you should have thought of a drum roll.
I'm still fading out the intro audio. Jeez, I need to get the drum roll going. Howie's about to get the drum set out. I can already see it now.
Oh, that's already there. Go ahead.
Boy, so on National Aviation Day, I got my CFI. So I am now officially a flight instructor.
Yes.
Boy.
Derek.
After a lot of hard work and after a lot of times of,
Did you say hardware?
hard work, hardware,
hard
I don't
work.
know, yeah. A lot of hardware, too. Yeah, a lot of charts, a lot of other stuff like that. But yeah, yes, after a lot of hard work, I'm a CFI now. So I'm excited about it.
How does it feel?
How does it feel? Pretty good. I'm still letting the whole shock is still over me at this point in time. I'm still replaying that check ride in the back of my head and thinking about, oh my, now I have this remarkable responsibility and privilege that, geez, the next time I go flying with somebody, I actually have the ability to teach somebody a lesson and actually sign them off and endorse them. It's exciting. And
It's not
huge all at
only
the same
the
time.
ability, but next time when you're in the right seat,
Yeah.
and something is happening and you have to make the decision and you look to your right for help, then you realize that there is nobody there, that you are that guy.
You are the right seat.
That's kind of like the first time I ever was in actual instrument flying conditions by myself, and I look to the side of me and I'm like, oh, there's no one here to save me if I screw up now.
So now you're the savior, and now you're the god. I mean, for anybody you're going to be teaching,
Yeah.
they
good point.
will strongly and sincerely believe that nothing bad is going to happen to them because flight instructor is with them.
Under your tutelage. And because of you, Derek, I want to thank you very much for singularly increasing the pilot population.
I'm working on it. The ink isn't dry in my certificate yet, but I'll work on that.
So meanwhile, everybody else who was listening has now dialed off because they're bored to death. What else is going on, Derek?
Oh, boy. Well, other than that, I don't know here. I got to start thinking about what my next rating to tackle is, or else, I'm just going to be stuck as a regular CFI.
Well, folks, you should know offline we were talking about going for the double I because if that's what I'm looking for my instrument. So that's the way I'd like for you to go, and it'd be great for you to come on down and show me your stuff.
But Derek, tell us about your experience. I'm sure there are a lot of students, CFI students, who want to know what to expect. I mean, you went there, your
right.
hands
Yes.
were shaking, right?
Oh, definitely. Well, the first thing that I feel like you have to point out about the CFI check ride is it is not your average check ride at all. It is not your average check ride. It's you do this with the FAA, and you also are doing this entire check ride. It's a lot longer than your average regular check ride. So I'm talking about I showed up at the airport maybe at about 8 a.m. to what do you call it? Hold on 1 second, guys. Just
somebody is calling you there, right?
I'm trying to. Yeah, somebody's trying to call me.
So why don't we all pick up our cell phones and
boy,
talk jeez, that way? John just showed up and he's shaking his head. I don't know if he can hear us. Can you hear us, John?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
You're live.
I got you. We got John. All right. So we'll fill John in here. I was just saying about.
So why don't we start over again?
Okay.
And, live from behind the golden microphones.
Yes.
We are here with, and we'll start with. Who wants to go first?
Oh boy.
Howie Marlin from Martha's Vineyard.
Radek Wyrzykowski from Boston, Massachusetts.
And John Roberts from Delray Beach, Florida.
There we go.
Johnny boy.
America's newest flight instructor.
You like that, huh?
Yes, I like that title.
That's great, Doug. That's great. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you were talking about?
Yeah, that's
We
what we're
are
talking
now.
about. Yep.
We're on air. We're live.
Yes,
Excellent.
back to the beginning of things, though. Basically, yes, it's a longer check ride, and you're doing it with the FAA instead of a designated pilot examiner. So the good thing is you don't have to hand over a check to them afterwards because they're an employee of the FAA. The bad thing is that, well, it's the FAA. There's just an intimidation factor there that you're riding
But with FAA,
somebody.
Derek,
Yeah.
you hand over them cash, and then everything goes easy.
Oh boy!
Don't
And
do
then
checks.
Well, wait till you're paying $4.50 every time you touch and go. They'll get their money.
they'll get the money eventually. Yeah, you have to pay for the premium package in order to get the FAA to pass you. But anyways, in all seriousness, the check ride took about 3 hours on the ground and then about 2 hours in the airplane. So it's a very, very long day of flying. Basically, I got to pretend to be a CFI before I was actually technically a CFI. You had to teach the entire check ride. So that's the big difference that a lot of people have to, correlate with a CFI check ride and the CFI rating, is that it's less about the actual skills. I mean, of course, when I do a steep turn, I have to be making a good example for my student, but what they're there to check on is can I teach somebody how to do something? Not just to parrot the knowledge back. I've already done that. So it's all about teaching. And that was the real challenge of it, is there's so many things that you and I take for granted in our understanding of aviation. I mean, I could start rattling off terminology to you guys right now, and everyone that's right now that I'm talking to on the show right here, maybe not all of our listeners, but most of our listeners, would be able to understand what I'm talking about. But if I talk up to somebody that's completely new, never been in an airplane before, or have to teach from that perspective, that's a whole new challenge. And that's something I'm really looking forward to doing out in the real world when I teach some students.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
And do you any idea where you may be looking for work first, Derek? Is there a place are you looking right now? Are you going to
I'm looking around. I'm completely undecided at this point. There's a lot of possibilities for me in the area. There's a lot of, in the New England region, there's plenty of flight schools. However, I'm still undecided. I'm going to just see what offers so happen to work out with my schedule and my life, and I'll tell you guys where I'm at, so you guys can come fly with me.
There is actual shortage of flight instructors now.
I've heard a lot about that. I've heard a lot of flight schools in the area are quite desperate to get CFIs, and I believe that's a sign of things to come. If the standard pipeline of student becomes commercial pilot, becomes flight instructor, becomes airline guy, and the airlines are hungry, then that means that they're going to be draining that flight instructor population pretty quickly if the trend continues.
Here's the big question. I'm curious. I know you haven't actually taught yet, legally, officially, but
Right.
is your plan to teach for quite a while? Do you want to get into the regionals and then onto the airlines? Are you thinking about the military?
I don't plan to ever stop teaching, no matter where my aviation career takes me, or career in general takes me. This is an awesome thing to do, and I've been wanting to teach ever since I got my private pilot's license. This is really exciting for me. And even after I've achieved some other stuff here, I actually would be looking forward to teach more after I become an airline pilot or further my career in any ways, because then there's always skills inside aviation, outside aviation that I can take from my career and my journey in aviation and bring it back to my students' experience. And I'm
so
really
are you
looking
going
forward
to
to that.
teaching your passengers how to behave, or?
Oh, boy. It applies to everything. It's scary, Radek. When we were doing all these exercises, working on the CFI, you start walking around and, just like you start having aviation on the brain, you get teaching on the brain. And then all of a sudden it's like, you're exhibiting a hazardous attitude, or, oh, hey, there's the law of primacy. And it's like you just start rattling the stuff off in everyday life.
That's exactly.
You get to live
absolutely.
it, experience it. It's awesome.
When I teach new flight instructors, I mean, one of my first lessons is I pick up usually like a very simple 4-function calculator, and I say, teach me how to use it. And believe it or not, most of them, actually I would say all of those people, they usually just kind of open their mouth and they don't know what to do with this, because it's so obvious for us that it's hard to imagine that we are going to be teaching to somebody who doesn't know it.
That's a really important point, especially in aviation. I mean, for all of us, pilot or non-pilot, to think about, because think about it, John and Howie, how many times do you run into somebody that doesn't know anything about aviation?
A lot.
A lot. It's really important that we sort of are able to understand what it's like to be one of those people, because we've been living, eating, and breathing airplanes so much. It's sometimes hard to relate to that, and it really comes into play because these are our future aviators. These people that don't know about airplanes are our future, and we have to be mindful of the way we communicate with them.
I want to jump in for a second, because as a therapist, I had a very comfortable and unique situation about a month or so ago.
I was going to say, I can see you're very comfortable there.
The radio audience doesn't see me. I'm in my lounge chair. I'm kicked back with my feet up, against a set of speakers. But I had a young woman who expressed her extreme phobia of flying, and I had the opportunity to go through a desensitization process with her, and then finally got her in the airplane. And when we got down, she was jumping up and down with excitement, and her mother and father came over, and they were so thrilled that she was so happy. And they came over and they asked her, what did he do? What did he do? Why are you so happy about this? And she said that he told me what he was going to do. He told me what he was doing, and then he told me what he had done with everything throughout the flight. So I knew what was going on. And it was the manner in which I spoke to her. So no surprises, had her hands on the wheel, on the stick, so she could feel it. And it helped. It was I was impressed with her. I was kind of shocked that it worked as well as it did.
John, you had different experiences with flight instructors, right? At the beginning, when you were starting, I believe you had some bad experience?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah. The first guy was just kind of looking out the window, like he wasn't really interested in that.
Oh,
that
boy.
was tough.
I had him.
Literally looking at his watch during the flight, and plus that was before we had the headsets. He had headsets, I think, so it was loud, and he's kind of screaming at me. It sounded like he was screaming at me, and
what? He had a headset, you didn't?
Yeah, no, we had the little microphone, a little microphone before we had the this is in the
you have the karaoke mic.
Yeah, no, this is like in the 70s, in the mid 70s. Yeah, so I don't remember having a headset on. I remember having to grab this microphone, to talk to the tower.
I did my entire private pilot check ride without headset.
Wow.
because there was no. Actually, when I flew with my flight instructor, I purchased and I would bring in my own intercom.
Wow.
So we flew with headsets, but examiner, he didn't want to have to do anything with that advanced technology that was this little black box there. And he said, no, we don't need this. And we just went.
Wow.
And
I was in a Cherokee 140 with advanced technology with DME. I thought that was amazing. But,
not to mention that TACAN or LORAN.
Talk about your first teacher. I had him for quite a few hours. And it was so spread out, and I think I started in the winter. So, it didn't seem like it was an option to ask for somebody else. I didn't know you could say, "Geez, excuse me, when you get a teacher, is this your teacher to the end?" And then I ran out of money. I was like, well, I just kind of ran out of my allotment for like the hours I was going to do, and he was solo me. Then he wasn't. Then he was, and then the weather got bad, and then he wasn't into it. He just wasn't into teaching.
I know. Trust me. I had 5 instructors. 5.
Wow.
And it gave me a perspective of how to do things within that range of correct. And it was a fascinating experience. So,
yeah, I mean,
moving on.
Just one little guy here. It was a life changer, because if it was a good experience, and because God knows I was interested in it, as you guys know, I was so gun ho, and then I started. Then it got to the point where I was almost dreading going to the airport. It's like, oh shit, it shouldn't be like this. And if it was a good experience, I had the right teacher. Who knows? I probably wouldn't. Who knows?
Tell me about it. The guy who whacked my hand when I took my hand off the throttle.
Oh,
that was the last time I saw him.
Yeah, really.
Whacked my hand. What the hell do you whack my hand? Anyway, go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, so we're going to take a really quick, just a quick interstitial break here. We're at the halfway point in the show, but this is going good. Won't we keep up this topic when we get back? So stay tuned, guys. We'll be back after this short message from our friends at the FAA.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Hey, here comes a plane. Give me that laser. Bullseye!
Control from Flight 255. Our cockpit just received a laser beam strike from my 3 o'clock. Notify police of my location.
Hitting an aircraft with a laser is no laughing matter. It's dangerous for both pilots and passengers, and it's a crime, punishable by federal jail time and large fines. If you see someone targeting an aircraft with a laser, call 911.
You did teach me how to do a short field landing, though. That was great.
And on that note, we're back.
Back with America's newest CFI.
Yes, we
Derek Gatti from Randolph, Massachusetts, at an undisclosed location.
Yeah. Randolph, Mass., that undisclosed location.
Well, I'm not GPS.
That was undisclosed, Randolph.
Yeah.
We're not disclosing it, so
you were in Randolph.
We're not even going to disclose where, but we'll just say where.
You call Norwood your base, right?
And by the way,
I don't have a base. Yeah. That's a good point, Howie. Is like I don't have a base, now that I think of it, because I fly at so many different airports in the area here. I mean, geez, I've flown in Beverly, I've flown in Hanscom, I've flown in Norwood. It's like you get to go all over the place.
Which is closest to home?
Norwood's the closest to home, so it's got to be technically considered my home base.
So, guys, question here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, if CFI check right is so difficult to go through, and they really check how if you can teach and so on, where are those bad flight instructors coming from? I mean, they pass their check right and they just simply don't pay attention to what they learned, or what's happening?
I'm thinking maybe 30, 40 years ago, they weren't much into the psychology of teaching. They wanted to make sure you could fly more. Maybe it wasn't as like everything else back. Do you think that's possible? That maybe in the 70s or 60s, you just had to show them you could fly, and maybe today it sounds like a much more comprehensive. I'm sure it was for you, Radek. Derek said it was a 4-hour day.
But there are young guys coming out of flight schools that still don't know what to do. They have absolutely no clue. So why not everybody could be like Derek? I mean, he is going to make a great flight instructor.
Yeah.
He absolutely is.
Yeah.
Well, Radek, you had a stable of instructors. You had a pretty good team, though, didn't you?
Oh, I had a dream team. Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, we think that was the exception.
I think it was. I think, I literally trained every single flight instructor that was in that school. And I strongly, if I would have to hire somebody from outside, which I hired, I think, two people from outside, I was looking for low-time instructors.
That you could mold.
Yes.
Right.
When everybody else was looking, if you had 3,000 hours dual given, they would say, oh, yeah, come on over, without even checking who those people are.
That's
I believe that if you take 300-hour flight instructor, then you can show them how it's done. But at the same time, you should allow people to be creative.
Yeah.
What did I tell you, Derek, all the time?
Oh, yeah.
When you are CFI, even in the learning process, be creative. Come up with your own ideas. That is how we create progress. But if we simply just copy what was done before, there are a lot of flight schools that use so-called standardization, meaning one guy will tell everybody else how to do it, and it's done the way it was done year before, 2 years before, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and so on. And this way, we're not moving forward. And if somebody is going to come up with a better way to teach something, by all means, let them implement it and let them put it out there.
It needs to be a fluid process. Technology is changing so quickly. John made a crack wise about DMEs and how now it's all systems based. And I don't know about you, but I walk in and I see Teledyne and my eyes cross. So you really need to you need to know your stuff. You need to. Yeah. But that's ever changing.
That reminds me of something else that's going to be a big deal in the future, speaking of systems, but we'll have to save that topic for another show. But it's really important to think of it like, that molding thing, Radek's a really good point. It's a really, really good point. I know a lot of the people with really specialized flight operations actually prefer to get somebody and mold them instead of starting from scratch, with some bad habits.
I see what you mean.
John's face just turned red.
I see what you mean.
Innovative ways of
This will
teaching.
become a video show soon.
Yeah, 100 years of flight. Can you see that?
There you go. Cool.
Nice.
100 years of flight.
There you go.
So, we're approaching. Go ahead.
Radek, just a question for Radek. Do most flight schools or do flight schools have to have a chief instructor that kind of overlook the regular instructors? Is that normal? Is that standard?
No, only Part 141 schools.
Okay, right.
Which, I'm speaking strictly to aviation audience here because, 141 is the flight school that is registered, if you will, with FAA, has to go through special, training, approval.
Right.
It's more structured. That's 141. Part 61 is simply, any flight instructor or flight instructors group, they can get together and say, okay, we're going to be teaching.
Right, got you. Okay.
And we're going to be teaching something. And that actually brings another point here, which I just remembered. Just recently on AOPA Facebook page, somebody said, I'm looking for a good program to prepare myself for written exam. And he said, I just flew my last long cross country with flight instructor. Now he told me it's time to start preparing for a written exam.
No.
And I'm thinking, there's something wrong with that. I mean, if you're already at the end of your training, how did you do it without any ground school?
That was backwards. That was absolutely backwards. Listen, I know I kind of wasted it. I took my written for the IFR 2 years ago. I mean, I wanted that knowledge first.
Absolutely, that makes sense. It's theory first and then practice. So I almost went there, but I gave up. I didn't want to do it, but I almost went there and I said, if you flew your last cross country and your instructor told you this, I would probably change my flight instructors.
Yes,
Wow.
we should talk about this offline because this isn't something that I want to share publicly, but it's a very significant issue, and it's one that needs to be addressed directly because you have people that are not really going to get people into their ticket. They're just going to get people into the left seat so that they can make a little extra money.
Yeah. And that's a really good point, Howie. I mean, instructors got to take their job seriously. And as aviation, we have to take instructors seriously because, hey, that's where we get future pilots from. You have to have somebody teaching them. But,
when you look for a school, will it matter to you if it's a 61 or a 141?
Not at all. I'd be happy to be a flight instructor at either one of those schools. I think they both have their pros and their cons and their things that you can learn from them. I'm just going to see what fits me best.
So you're going to leave your greeter job at Walmart?
Leave my greeter job at Walmart.
You're going to be missed, Derek. They're going to miss you.
I can finally stop eating roasted squirrels for dinner and ramen noodles,
But they're a damn good roasted squirrel.
No, actually, Derek, I'm sorry to say, but that doesn't stop when you become a flight instructor. It's just the opposite.
Yeah, you really need the job now.
Oh, boy. So changing gears here a little bit, we got about 5 minutes left in the show. So, Radek, in 5 minutes or less, I'd like you to let us know what the latest update is about IMC Club's budding relationship with the EAA.
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely subject for 50 minutes or more. Let me see what I can do here. We are moving forward, so legal documents are being drawn. They're not signed yet, but everything is looking very good. That very soon, actually, I would even say, I can say sometime middle of September, there is going to be the first official announcement, information coming out to our club members, chapters, and so on. Wow. So that is where we stand. And one thing that I really want to say that now is if somebody wants to renew, let's say they lapsed IMC Club membership or they didn't join yet, now it's the time to do it. Because there will be huge benefits if you do this. Our members are going to be converted into an EAA members. I cannot say any more, but there are going to be a lot of benefits of somebody going from IMC member to EAA member, and the same thing is applicable to IMC Club chapters. So if you want to jump on chapter, now is the time. And literally, you have a month and a half to do it.
Right.
And I've been an EAA member now for 15 years. Should I drop my EAA membership?
Oh, boy.
No? Okay.
All
okay.
Right.
You got my answer here. So.
Excellent here. So, yeah, you say that sounds really exciting. I'm looking forward to it there. I'd say that's a lot of progress in just such a short amount of time.
It's a lot of progress, definitely, but also it is a historical moment. John, you are one of the founding fathers.
I am. I'm on the mountain there in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Yumi, who is it? Yumi, Ken, and Peter were really
And that's going to be soon. We are going to have our last IMC Club board meeting.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that will be it, Yeah.
Wow.
That will be over. And looks like within the next few weeks, IMC Club is going to cease to exist as a separate entity.
All right. Well, then,
so
guys,
should we nominate John as the president just so that he can be president for a week?
Yeah, so I can put on my resume.
Actually, I was thinking we have a minute here left.
What about me?
I was thinking I could resign as a president of the IMC Club.
We
could elect John as a president, and I could go to work for EAA, and then we could negotiate the deal between me and John.
Oh, boy.
That's why you're the president, Radek. No, that's great. I can't believe that. You think about we start off in that little airport restaurant. I don't know if you would know it, Howie. Tasso's in Norwood. It's got a nice little Greek restaurant.
Everybody knows Tasso's.
Okay. All right, guys.
Okay, hey. Americans knew it.
Yeah. Well, signing off.
Shout out to Derek.
Yeah,
and
thank
to
you.
Satanic Mechanic Dan here in the vineyard. They're turning a Citabria, which was upside down and dead in a barn that used to do fish spotting. They're making it come alive again.
So, signing off for Plain Talk, I'm Derek Lagasse.
I'm Howie Marlin.
I'm Radek Wyrzykowski.
And I'm John Roberts. Thank you.
President John Roberts.
Fly safe, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Plain Talk on WIMC Radio.